So obviously today, later on, we will probably, maybe, I don't know, discussing the Sue Gray report. Just as I went to record this at the moment, the Cabinet Office has confirmed the report has been handed to number 10. So we don't know when it's going to get released. If it does get released tonight, then we will be discussing it on tonight's live stream. Again, kicks off at 7 o'clock as normal, GMT time. So, come along, see what it is. If not, we might cover maybe like Andre Walker, maybe Jeff Taylor. Maybe we'll have a dip into George Galloway land and see what's going on there. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But obviously, as we said before, the Wakefield by-election is coming up. This is going to be a massive test for Boris Johnson, especially now as the Sue Gray report is potentially poised to release at any moment. It could even release while I'm doing this, who knows? But that is going to put on more pressure. Could it trigger enough votes or Tory MPs to send in letters to trigger a vote of no confidence vote? We don't know. Obviously, once that is triggered, the vote of no confidence then happens, and we don't know what could happen in that vote. As I've said before, it is a secret ballot. You don't know which way people are going to go. And as we've said, when you look at Tories who have come out in support of Johnson versus those who said he must go, it's a knife edge. If you just took it on those numbers, it literally could swing either way. It is probably a 50-50 gamble. And then, of course, it comes down to, as we've said before, those 84 MPs who have yet to declare whether or not they will side with Johnson or not in that particular vote. We don't know. Obviously, there's the chance of people obviously changing their minds during that as well. So, what does this obviously spell for Johnson in terms of trouble in Wakefield? Well, we'll get to that in a bit, because I want to go over this focus group that happened in Wakefield just very recently, and it does not spell good news for the Conservatives. So before we go jumping into that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, there are my YouTube subscription button and, of course, the YouTube thank you button down below as well. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help support that channel, do help support the channel. So, yes, let's go diving into this report, this focus group, because I think this gives a lot of indication of to what the potential not only could be happening here in Wakefield, but potentially in those other red wall seats. And as I have said multiple times, look, these red wall Tory MPs who got elected were and are Boris Johnson's biggest fans. They constantly talk about his 2019 promises as we are going to do this, we are going to do this. But they are also his biggest critics, because anytime he doesn't do that, with the levelling up report, the cancelling of the HS2, and you may remember the Hartlepool by-election where Johnson won. 2 weeks later, the very woman who he was, hugging and chanting with, look, we won Hartlepool. 2 weeks later, she was out, getting at him for his latest scandal and bluff. And again, not providing money to, again, her seat in Hartlepool. And one of the constant things we have heard, and if you are up in the north, you've probably heard this as well. People have gone out and said, look, Boris, give us the money or we won't vote for you again. You said you'd give us money. You promised us all this. We thought you were different, but if you don't deliver on your promises, we ain't voting for you again. And this is the message that a lot of those red wall Tories are hearing very loud and very clear. And as we've said before, there is that now supposed infamous WhatsApp group that's been created, the Red Wall Preservation Society. Whether it exists or not, we don't have any concrete information, but that is what we've heard from some Tory insiders before on this channel. So this focus group is really, really important and really, really crucial, because it's not only just the Conservatives who should be worried, but it's also Labour who needs to be paying attention. And as I've said before, this is the moment where Keir Starmer should just go, sod it. Let's just release a manifesto and just focus on that manifesto for the next 2 years. Let's just campaign, and just go at it hard. But anyway, let's go into this. This comes from a guy's blog called Mark Park, who is a very big election analyst here in the UK. He wrote a book called 101 Ways to Win an Election. It's a very good blog. Definitely go read it. But we're reading it because the quote I can't find this particular focus group quote anywhere else. Unfortunately, the one is behind a Financial Times article, and that's behind a paywall. And I'm not just going to pay for just that article for this, but he's got it here. So we're just using his blog to get the quote from here. So here we go. So this is from the focus group. So for these members of the focus group in Wakefield, West Yorkshire, there is only one story in town: the rocketing energy and food bills. Who said at least 2 of the participants talk about the quote 3 days, but they don't mean free time. They mean days when they spend literally no money on themselves or their children. They're going to the local park because it was one of the few leisure activities that doesn't cost a penny. For some, it seems inadequate to even call this a cost of living crisis. It's a cost of living catastrophe. And with the Bank of England governor this week warning about the recession and the apocalyptic future rises in food bills, the agony isn't going to stop anytime soon. Judging by this particular focus group, the Conservatives have a real problem with the Prime Minister himself. And at the end of the session, only one of the 2019 Tory voter said that they would stick with the party. The others were either going to switch their vote to Labour or just not vote. The vitriol directed at Johnson over Partygate was real. Johnson was meant to be different, but it turned out he was no different at all. I have been saying this. I have been banging on about this for a while. The anger over Partygate is very, very real. You've seen people like Jacob Rees-Mogg call this a non-story, or other Tory MPs just dismiss it. No, the anger is very, very real. And MPs know it. They can try and dismiss it. They can say this isn't going to last until the next general election. It absolutely will, so long as Boris Johnson is in charge. And even if they do get rid of Johnson, that will still be very much there. You've got the cost of living crisis, which is the number one issue these people, not only here in Wakefield, but throughout the rest of the UK, are worried about. That is their key issue. That is what they are worried about. And so far, Rishi Sunak and the rest of the Conservatives, this has been a talked about story for quite a while now. What have they done about it? They've done nothing about it. You look at other countries that have done stuff, that have invested in social services or increased, the social safety net, or you look at France that have capped energy bills at 4%. There is a ton of stuff Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives could do, but are choosing politically not to do because it's against their ideology to do that type of stuff. And the last quote is key. The last quote of that from this focus group is key. Johnson was meant to be different, but it turned out he was no different after all. That is the key takeaway from this. People are angry. They are absolutely furious. And trust me, the cost of living crisis, or as they have put it themselves, these voters, the cost of living catastrophe, is only going to get infinitely worse. And who are they going to direct their anger to? Boris Johnson and the Conservatives. Even if they get rid of Johnson, that's just someone new to get angry at. Unless they actually go in and start to do some concrete solutions, which they are completely against, it's only going to get worse from here. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there is a link to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.